and I'm going to start over because I just hit record. So hi, I'm the Doula Darcy. I've been a postpartum doula for 10 years now. I worked in marketing for 10 years before that. So I love using my marketing knowledge to help doulas help more families. And then my friend Krista is here with me. Krista is an advanced postpartum doula. She's been working for like 15 years. She's also a trainer with DONA. So our goal today is to get more postpartum doulas out there in the world working.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Yeah. So as you come in on Facebook and Instagram, say hi, tell us where you're tuning in from, and we would love to hear your questions and answer them as they come in. But we want to talk about that limbo state that you're in when you finished your training and you're working on finalizing your certification. And then it's kind of this gray area of, can I work with families? What do I charge? Do I start a website? So we want to answer all those questions that you have as you're trying to finish up your certification and get out there and get working. So Krista, since you're the postpartum doula trainer, can you talk a little bit about like maybe the mindset that you're in at this?
Yeah, absolutely. I have been training doulas for several years now, and I feel like the things that I try and instill in people are like, keep that motivation, keep connected with other people. And I think there's usually a huge amount of excitement about, oh my gosh, I just finished this big completion of my workshop. But now what? Because it can feel really daunting, right? It's very much like parenting, right? Where it's like, okay, I'm a parent. I'm a parent. So, my first advice is always kind of just trying to stay connected with the group of people that you trained with. Keep supporting one another, keep motivating one another, and stay connected with your trainer, stay connected with the organization, because people want to help. DONA wants you to become certified. And so when you're first looking at the requirements of the certification packet, again, it can feel a bit overwhelming, like, where do I start? So I think there's those simultaneous opposing feelings that I talk about so frequently, right? Where it's like, I'm so excited and I feel really overwhelmed. And that's usually where I feel like people's headspace is initially. And so that's what I'm here for. That's what Darcy, you're here for too, is so that we can kind of take you out of that headspace of, I really want to, but I'm kind of getting in my own way, and give you some concrete things that you can work on to obtain clients, to get out there, to start finishing the process of the certification, and be successful at your work.
Yeah. And I think one of the biggest trip ups is that, and I remember feeling this way, like that I wanted to have my certification. I wanted that certificate in my hands before I went into a family's home. And also like before I put a website up on the internet. And I see that a lot in doulas that I'm working with. They're hesitant to get the website up. They're hesitant to like start an Instagram doula profile before they have that certification. But yet you need to find those 3 certifying families. So I think a lot of people just freeze at this moment. And I want to be here to cheer you on and say, just go, just go. I always say there's no doula police. No one is going to come up after you if you create a website and you're not fully certified yet. You're trained, you can do it. So get a website up, even if it's just one page with your name, your contact info, a description of what you do, and how they can contact you for help. I mean, that's one of the biggest things. I think that's one of the first things you should do as you complete your training, and not to get too into hardcore like search engine optimization or anything like that. But the longer your website exists, the more relevant it is in Google's eyes. So the sooner you can get your website up and running, the better. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It could be just one page, but you need to have that presence. You need to have somewhere to send people when you meet a pregnant person in the grocery store. You know, they need to go to blah, 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 doula.com to find you. So I am here to say, just go for it.
You can see I just finished a virtual postpartum doula training yesterday, and so I still have all my stuff kind of up and ready. And I hope you don't mind. I'm gonna stay in my training zone, and I wanted to just point out. So this is what I generally have been. I've started really incorporating a lot more of this business, getting out there. How do we break down the steps of the certification into the actual 4-day training that I do with people? And what I've been saying to people is the first thing you got to do, figure out your name, right? If you're just going to start with yourself, fine. If you're going to, if you already know you have a particular name, fine. Whatever it is, get your name, make some materials, right? So that includes things like the website, maybe if you want the flyers or cards, right? Okay. And then once you've got some of those things, then you go out and you start doing your networking, right? And this, again, between Darcy and I, this is this teaming, right? And helping support people is because it can be, you know, when we just break it down like this, it seems pretty straightforward. But then people are like, yeah, but, and this uncertainty of, I'm not quite sure what feels right for me, or what if I want to change it. And so that's where Darcy and I can really help address what your particular concerns are and kind of help you kind of push over that uncertainty line and just go for it. Because once you get to this point of being able to go and explain who you are and what you do, and you can hand out your materials to someone, then hopefully that's going to lead to like going and getting some clients, right? And that makes people happy. Okay, all around. So I'm in my trainer.
I love it.
Markers and paper zone. That was helpful.
Yeah, I love it. I just posted a link to my blog post on tips on how to choose their name for your postpartum doula business, because that's another place people get tripped up. So there's some tips there for you. But the other thing is, like, yes, you need that website. Yes, you need those business cards. Yes, you need a Facebook profile and an Instagram profile so that you are, you know, no one wants to hire you if you don't exist on the internet these days. You know, young moms having babies, like if they meet you or hear about you, they want to kind of look at you on the internet. So you need to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing a lot of doulas right now. I don't know, it's been a super common question, like, when do I start my social media? And I say right away, you know, choose a good name and get that social media profile up there so that at least there's something there. You know, it doesn't have to be super complicated, but, and I always say progress over perfection. Like, it's never going to be perfect. If you're waiting for it to be perfect, it's never going to happen. So you need to just get it out there. So, all right, let's, so if you guys have questions, post them in the comments and we will answer them. Let's see, some of the things we promised to talk about were, when is it okay to start working with families during the training process? Why don't you answer that, Krista?
Really, if you are, anybody in the world can just go say that they're a doula. So any Joe Schmo off the street can be like, hey, I'm a doula, right? So just to clarify that, when you are working towards your certification, if you are pursuing being a professional doula, then the first step, at least for Doula International, I can't speak to other organizations. There are many different organizations out there, but with Doula International, you need to complete training, the 4-day workshop or the 3-day workshop, depending on the trainer, first. And so for yesterday, for instance, when we finished up at 5 o'clock, if somebody had a client scheduled at 5:15, they can go and they can do that. And at 5:15, that that client, that experience with that family will count for their certification requirements. So right off the bat, as soon as you complete your training, you're able to go and you're able to do that work. And hopefully, again, your trainer has done the job of instilling that basic knowledge and the confidence that you feel like you can go at 5:15 and go right into somebody's home.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think that's super important to remember that once you've done that training, you're ready. You are absolutely ready, and you're going to be a benefit to that family. So,
and I think so much of things, really comes down to our own belief in ourselves, right? Like that confidence. And I use, again, the parenting analogy because it's just so apt, right? Parents always feel, questioning themselves and, they're not quite sure. And there's a lot of, yeah, but what if, right? And doulas, it's the same thing. I've been working as a doula, as Darcy said, for, almost 15 years. And there are still times that I'm like, gosh, like you can get in your own head in your own way sometimes. And just trying to talk to yourself as if you were talking to one of your clients, right? Like you have the skills, you're there, you have a community to come back to if you need some support or you have other questions. So as Darcy said, right? Like just get out there, start doing it. And the more that you practice, the more that you get out there, the easier it does become.
I know I always encourage the doulas that I'm working with to imagine their ideal client and imagine her sitting there home alone with her mind racing with questions, and you sitting on your couch not doing anything, not putting your website up, not reaching out to local providers. You're not helping her. So if you want to help, your burning desire to help families, just have to kind of keep remembering that to keep yourself motivated. So that brings me to the next question that came up, and it's like, when do you start networking with other professionals in your birth professionals in your area? What do you think, Kristen?
As soon as you can. Everybody already has a network, right? So again, this part right over here, you already have a network. So knowing, again, just thinking about the people that you already know, right? And tapping into those resources that you have, and then going and broadening from there, right? So as I think what you said about who's your ideal client, that's a really important part of all of this, right? If you are really wanting to work with the particular population, then you're ideally going to go out and you're going to find the avenues to where those people are. And so as early as you can start your network, as early as you can start being consciously thoughtful about how you're going to get to those people. And that's the short answer, right? Everybody has a network. Start talking as early as you can. So when you want to become a doula, when you've signed up for your workshop, that's a great place to start that process, right? Hey, everybody up on social media or, whoever you're talking to, I'm going to do this. And this is what I'm going to be able to do, right? And get that ball rolling.
Yeah. And I always say, and then once you've completed your training, that is an excellent time, even before you're certified, that's an excellent time to start reaching out to midwives and birth doulas and chiropractors and all the providers in your area and say, hey, listen, I just completed my training. I'm looking for families to serve. I need to work with 3 families, and I'm doing that at half price or free or whatever you've decided to do, or at a discounted rate. Do you know of any families that would be looking for this kind of support as I'm just getting going? That can be a great in to network with people and
absolutely
get a conversation started with the local providers, and also find those 3 certifying families that you need, or whatever, your 5 first clients. And that can be, it's all about momentum, really. And just take, I think, again, going back to being overwhelmed when you're first getting going, it is overwhelming. You have to start a business, you have to make a website, you have to do this and business cards, and how do you find the families? And just take one step at a time, and that momentum will build.
where, no, I was just going to say, this is exactly kind of where I've just taken those next steps. And I've had so many participants over the last couple of years ask me, could you give like a more structured mentorship? Is there a way that we could really break things down step by step, have some accountability, a clear place to answer those questions? And so I'll put in the link. I've just going to be starting for the first time this fall the accelerated certification program. And so again, this is going to be an opportunity for people who have already completed their postpartum doula workshop to finish that certification, all of those different components and those requirements in a really accelerated way. And so the goal is to be able to submit that certification packet by Halloween. And again, taking what can feel really big and overwhelming and scary and daunting and just breaking it down and holding accountability.
Yeah. And what I love is someone just pointed this out to me. You know, when you have a baby, you need a doula, like you need a postpartum doula. You need someone to kind of walk you through the steps, guide you, cheer you on, answer your questions, provide support. And it's the same when you start your postpartum doula business. It's going to go better. It's going to be more enjoyable. It's going to be more profitable and go faster if you have a support network. So exactly, your accelerated program is a great option. I also have my Kickstart Your Postpartum Doula Business class, which is an online self-paced class, but it covers how to nail the prenatal interview, tips for nailing, you know, for getting people to hire you once you have that prenatal interview, and then a checklist for once you're actually in a mom's home and working with a family. That's another time people freeze up. Like you've done your training, you've gotten a client, and then you're like, oh my God, what do I actually do? So this is a checklist. 10 touch points to go through with on your first postpartum doula visit with a client in their home. 5 tips on how to get your next 5 clients, and then an interview I did with the website doula on why you need a good doula website. So I just put the link for that, and then with a coupon code that I Facebook FB for Facebook Live and the number 1, you'll save 30%. So it's $100. It's a great class. Everybody who's done it says it pays for itself in no time because you get new clients and you get going, and it's the perfect little kickstart that you need. So like I said, our whole goal is to get you out there serving new families as quickly as possible. So that brings me to another question that I get all the time and that has come up here is what to charge those first clients that you work with. What do you think about that, Krista? Like, let's say the 3 certifying families, what should you charge?
I always like to remind people that it's not a requirement to do something for free. Okay. So just to start there, right? And then if it's something that you are wanting to do, you of course have that, you know, you can set the rate where you want it to be and where you think is going to work for you and your goals. Some things to consider are, do you have other certifications? Do you have other experience? Do you have other trainings that, again, are worth your expertise, your time, the investment that you've already made for those things? Some other considerations would be, what do you have to pay out in order for you to go to this family's house? So for instance, do you need to pay for gas, tolls, parking, childcare, so on and so forth? And think about really clearly, what are those expenses? And then how can you make your initial rate at least to break even, right? So if you're paying a babysitter, you know, $10 an hour to come and babysit for your child, well, then you would want to be making sure that you're not losing money paying the $10 an hour to go and see a family. So those are some things to consider. There's also a great website called doulamatch.net that we can put in the link here as well. And that's a great website to be able to see where based on your location, there are a number of different doulas. They may be already trained or working towards their certification. They may be from different organizations. And so it's a really great place to be able to base your understanding of rates in your area, because it is very location specific.
Yeah.
And that's generally what I advise people to do.
Yeah. I always share with people, you know, I think coming out of the gate, you should charge top dollar. I mean, if you can, but I know that's tough for, again, confidence wise. And I remember, so I always share with people, my first certifying family that I worked with, I did it for free. I just felt like I didn't have the confidence to even charge for gas. Luckily they lived nearby, so I wasn't even paying that much for gas, but so I offered my services for free just in exchange for a testimonial, which ended up being great because I was able to put that on my new website. And that was great. Once I had that one family, that one experience under my belt, then from there I was confident to charge. I think I charged a lower rate for my next two. But, you know, if that's what it takes, go ahead and do it for free, or for, you know, half your rate, or, you know, a nominal fee for the first one. I think that's sometimes what it takes to get the momentum going where you're comfortable working. You know, because I like I said, I remember so vividly doing the training, being so pumped to do this work, and then I was like, wait a minute, what? You know, I wanted to shadow somebody, because I was like, how does this actually look once you're in there helping a mom and a baby? You know, what do you actually do? So for me, it just worked out great to not charge. And that's why I have that checklist in the Kickstart Your Postpartum Doula Business program, because that kind of gives you a guideline of what to do on that first visit.
Yeah, and I think I've definitely spoken about this, you know, very freely, and wrote an article for the International Doula magazine, right? Like this or what's it called? The imposter syndrome, right? Where you doubt yourself. Again, everybody has varying levels of confidence in certain areas. And I think particularly when it comes into a new career, or a definite, you know, shift in something new, I know I really struggled with, well, who am I to come and tell somebody about how to do this? And am I really qualified, right? And so something to remind yourselves of as well as you're working, you know, with your certification, and as you're finishing up with your training and getting into homes, is that pediatricians, this is a perfect example, right? Pediatricians have training. They do not have to personally have the experience of knowing every single illness, every single, you know, injury that can occur to be effective, great pediatricians. And as a doula, again, sometimes we think, oh my gosh, we have to know it all, or do it all, or be it all. And again, we want to model authenticity. We want to model openness and learning. And really our one of our best gifts is just being able to show up and be there and just hold that space for people. And if you do nothing else but just sit there quietly and remind somebody, hey, you're doing a great job and you're not alone, you've done an amazing job as a doula.
Yeah, and they will love you and remember you forever. Mm-hmm. I think that's such a great point, Krista. And I actually, that's a blog post I did, because I think also when you're in this limbo state, you can get tripped up on like, oh my God, all right, well, I did my training, but I'm not ready yet. I don't have enough experience. I need to be an IBCLC too, and a sleep specialist, and a this, and a belly binding specialist. You know, you think, oh my God, I need more training. So I see doulas all the time getting caught up in this, like, well, I'm going to take this training, and then this training, and this training. And that's great. But if you're doing it because you think you're not ready yet to work with clients, or you think that's the reason you're not getting clients, I'll put that link, because I made a checklist to go through, like, which trainings are truly valuable, and
Mhm.
which, how to know like whether you really need another training, or you just need a little confidence, or you just need a little marketing. So let me just.
I noticed that there's, Kate had asked a question here about, how can I get help when most days I feel like a hot mess mom and I need to gain the confidence? You're not alone there, Kate. I can tell you that for sure. You are definitely not alone there. And for at least for myself, I have found that when I leave my space at my house where things are crazy and hectic and, it feels very chaotic, then I go into somebody else's house, right? You step again a different facet of yourself. And again, this is part of the training, this is part of the practice, is like being able to show up and be present at that family's home and focused on what their needs are, right? And then at least for myself, it helps me to just, again, because I've stepped away from my own situation, when I come back into it, I feel like, oh, okay, I've had a little time, I've had a little space, I've done something that brought me joy, and I know that I've helped someone, and it helps me actually to feel like I'm a more engaged mother when I'm back home with my boys, and also that, I might be a little bit more tired, but for me anyway, it's like a great restart. So nobody is riding around perfectly cool and calm all the time, but we can still be very effective at our job, and it's some, it's relatable.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. I was like tapping into those feelings of when we feel like hot mess moms, like that's when you can help and serve the most. Like
Mhm.
you're
What do
further
you wish
down
to
the
have?
path. You're further down the path of being a hot mess mom. So if you go back to a mom and help a mom who's, home with her 5-day-old baby, like like Krista said before, just showing up, listening, bringing her a glass of water, like that's all you need to do.
Mhm.
um, sometimes we think, oh, we have to give them all the answers and tell them the perfect thing to do. And half the time we don't. I have always been amazed. Still 10 years into it, I still have these feelings of like, I'll go and I'll have a shift, I'll be at a mom's house for 4 hours where I don't even say anything. Like some moms just are like blah, 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 blah. They just talk, tell their birth story, tell how they're feeling, they're crying, they're doing this, and I'm just sitting there. They're even like holding the baby. Like I literally don't do anything. I'm sitting on the couch, actively listening to them. By the end of the 4 hours,
You are doing something. You're holding that space for them to feel confident and safe enough to share and get out of their own heads and to like be able to process. So I want to point out, Darcy, this is again our network and having other people to help you. Darcy, you are doing something and you're doing a great job.
thank you, Krista. But what I was going to say, sometimes those moms are the most grateful. Like, I'll get a text message later that day, like, I don't know what I would do without you. Or they'll post on Facebook, like, I would have died without Darcy there. And I'm like, I literally just listened. So our role, I want to say again, like our role as a postpartum doula is super valuable and important and worthy of all the things, but it's very simple. And you do need to do your training, but you don't need extra certifications. You don't need 50 years of experience. You showing up and holding space ultimately and giving mom a glass of water and a snack. If you do her dishes, bonus. So keep it simple. And I think the most important thing is to just get out there and do it. And I want to say one more thing about the hot mess mom. Like, I think just being honest of like, not that you should share too much about your personal life, but like just being real. Like if you're home with a newborn and you haven't showered in 3 days, you don't want someone to blow in with perfect makeup and perfect hair who's says, oh, my 5 kids are at home building robots, or, you don't
slept for 12 hours last night, right?
Exactly right. Like you want someone who's real. So So yeah, so that's all I want to say. So let's finish up with well, if you have other questions, please post them. But one more question I want to get to is how to find those 3 certifying families. I'll have you go first, Krista, then I'll.
Sure. You know, I think this goes back to our earlier conversation about starting with the people that you know, right? Like, who do you know in your network who owns a coffee shop, who loves baby wearing, who is a La Leche League leader, whatever, again, professional capacities. Start with the network that you already have. Get out there and explain what you do and that you're out available service to help other people, and start there. I always kind of go into depth, and we have great conversations during the training about, should you work with family, should you work with friends? And I think there's some different people have different feelings about it. One of the things that I suppose we come back to a lot during those training conversations is really be honest with yourself about, is this a relationship that you would be willing to jeopardize if things did not go well as a doula, right? So people ask me that question a lot, like, well, okay, but I have like 3 friends who are pregnant, or my sister-in-law wants to hire me, or, or not even hire me. My sister-in-law wants to have me as a doula, right? So those are some things that I would consider and encourage you to think about when you're trying to get those certifying families. Sometimes our network is already kind of built in with a whole bunch of pregnant or newly postpartum families. Other times, again, we just want to know who are the business owners, where are the places you like to go, and just, again, kind of coming back here, right? Tell them who you are, bring them something so they can check you out and verify who you are, and then just keep talking about it. And that's going to lead to some clients, and then it will start, again, hopefully some nice referrals.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we think of network and we think of like reaching out to midwives and OBs and pediatricians, and that can seem kind of scary. So starting with your friends, if you have friends that are having babies, they have friends who are having babies. So just sharing like, hey, I'm going to my training. Hey, this is what a postpartum doula does. That's how you start spreading the word. And I always say, chatting, like, you couldn't shut me up about postpartum doulas when I first started. I was just so excited and passionate. So, even at a cookout when people...
Honestly, I wanted to say, honestly, you and I both still do that. I mean, we're like decades on, right? And we're still like, hey, postpartum doulas, because really, everybody, it's that awesome. It really is.
It is. And if you have a quick elevator pitch, if you tell someone at a cookout or in the grocery store checkout line, like what you do, that you help moms get a nap and, provide support, every single person, whether they had a baby yesterday or 50 years ago, says, wow, that is amazing. I wish I had that. So the word spreads itself. You have to start it. You have to start those conversations. And then, yes, work up to, I always suggest reaching out to the birth doulas in your area, because, if they're not providing postpartum doula support, which a lot of them don't, they already have clients that are clued into the idea of doula support. So it's kind of an easier, that's like the low hanging fruit of where to find certifying families. And again, mentioning like, hey, I'm working towards my certification. I'm offering it a discounted rate. Do you know any families that would be interested right now? That's a great way to, I think the best way to get the ball going for finding those certifying families. So.
And something else that you just kind of jogged my memory about as well is, I think there's a lot of really great conversations right now about, inequities in birthing and in parenting. And so, if you're trying to work towards certification and you're also feeling like you really want to go out and connect to, to help change the disparities that are happening in our country, it's a great opportunity to, again, win-win, right? So connect and say, you know what, I nominate somebody that you think would be really in need of services, or go and connect with somebody at a local family support center, right? And let them know that you are there, you want to help this situation. And so again, it's a win all around.
Yes, that's a great point. So awesome. Let me do one more scroll. I think we have answered all the questions that have come in. So that is great. So Krista and I always say, we are here for you. Like, please reach out with questions. We are happy to answer questions. You can post them here in the comments or send us a message on Instagram or Facebook, but we want to help you help more moms. So let us know how we can support you. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook at the Doula Darcy. And Krista, what's the best way?
Krista Malte. So directly, I'm Krista Malte. If you want to learn more about trainings and services, it's at Relief Parenting.
Yes. Awesome. So when is your, I meant to ask you this before we started, when is your next virtual training? Because people are asking me that all the time.
Yeah, so we just finished one. I have an in-person training. This will probably be the last in-person training that's scheduled for the year starting this coming weekend, and that's going to be at my parenting center in Hampton. I do have a training coming up in September. It was supposed to be in person, but I think because of the situation, we'll probably move that to virtual. So if anybody's interested, I'll put the link in the chat here too about where to go find information about all the upcoming virtual workshops. And essentially, I think I have one pretty much every month to the end of the year. So there's lots of great opportunities to get some training and to join that accelerated certification program as well.
Oh yeah, when does the accelerated program start?
Next month on September 2nd, it's going to be on Wednesdays. And so I've had a lot of people asking about a second option for evening time. So I'm going to be adding that likely by the end of this week. So keep in tune for that.
Awesome. So yes, so join Krista's accelerated certification program, my Kickstart Your Postpartum Doula Business self-paced online class. You watch the videos as needed, but that one helps you nail the prenatal interview, what to do on your actual visits, 5 tips to get your next 5 clients, and then an interview with the website doula on creating your doula website. So it is packed with good information to get you over that finish line of starting to be out in the world working. So stay in touch, and we can't wait to see you out there serving families.
Yes, keep well.